Hey everyone, this is Andrew with AGR, and as always, it is my goal to deliver videos that get to the point and don't have any sponsored bullcrap. And today I have what many people would consider to be a stain of a game. This is none other than Halo Infinite. Oh, and by the way, if you guys do enjoy these review videos, smash your warthog into the like button. Anyways, let's get into the video already. Now, to understand why there is so much controversy in the newest release of the Halo series, let's navigate back to the past when Halo Combat Evolved came out in 2001, the very first of the series, and was a true FPS trailblazer of its time. So much so that fans believe the first in the series to be nothing short of a masterpiece. After all, it was the highest rated game on the Xbox, and Evolve also spawned the massive multi-billion-dollar industry that we know and love today. But what exactly made Halo Combat Evolved so good? There are many answers to this question, such as its advanced world building that now can even rival franchises such as Star Wars, its passionately crafted musical pieces that can put others to shame, that one's good, but no, not that one. This one. As well as it understands how to pace music with what is actually occurring on the screen. This not only makes the music more vibrant and impactful when it does play, it also adds tension mixed with a drop of peace when it fades out. This alone is very impressive, but it's also important to remember that this all contrasts with the actual gameplay, all of which is at a quality that you can come to expect with Halo. Solid controls that make sense and remain functional, so much so that Combat Evolved, according to many fans, was the first FPS to be accessible to any casual gamer, which in turn forged an entirely new market and a very profitable one at that. And if you look at the data, I think the fans just may be right. Combat Evolved was very ahead of its time, and at the very least was one of the big three leaders in the FPS market, and pioneered countless mechanics that we don't even think about twice today, such as a 2-weapon system, regenerating health, vehicle combat, and so on. If I had to explain why this game was so highly honored and iconic in a sentence, I would say that the reason for its success is that it colonized an untapped market in the gaming industry and used sensible innovations to holster it to unthinkable levels, allowing for it to grow into the beloved franchise that it is today. Now, with all this in mind, let's talk about how and why Infinite falls short of the legendary standard that Evolve set. Now, I want to say this out the gate, Halo Infinite is not a bad game by any means. It just falls short of the standard that we have come to expect as Halo fans. This being said, let's get into my thoughts. Season 2 was released about a week ago since the writing of this video and brought a good amount of content to the game. 2 new big maps and 3 new game modes, along with a new battle pass and so on. On paper, it does not sound half bad, until you put this intel in perspective. The new season lasts from May 3rd all the way to November 8th. This is half a year of no added content other than some minor patches and bug fixes. This may seem somewhat ordinary, but you have to remember that Infinite is a new game, and not even that, it has its own TV show that was supposedly supposed to coincide with Infinite's release. So this, as you can imagine, did not make the diehard fans, or even the casual gamers, too happy. It really sent a message to Halo players alike that they either did not care or already gave up on Infinite. This I found particularly odd because Halo's two biggest competitors had a similar problem. COD Vanguard was a virtual carbon copy of all the predecessors before it, and Battlefield 2042 was a glitchy mess that also added nothing new to the table. But the really weird thing is that Infinite was actually quite popular for a time, and then the decline appeared. But before we talk about that, I think we need to talk about what content was available before the decline. Now, I want to mention some of the pros first. The controls are quick and seamless and feel well tuned. If you mess up, it's your own fault, not the game's. Unless it's Tactical Slayer. That's some BS. The visuals look crisp and make the Halo universe come alive. The soundtrack is as good as ever. The vehicles have a smooth feeling that is almost satisfying to dive bomb and kamikaze into the enemy. And overall, it feels really well put together. Online is competitive, but yet not filled with sweats, and has some classic game modes, such as Oddball. In all honesty, it's actually pretty fun to play, and it's even free to play. Unfortunately, I believe this is where some problems arise. You see, since Halo, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, is a multi-billion-dollar industry, well, it likes money. Let's try to put this in perspective. Halo is like Mr. Krabs on crack.
Called the Krusty Krab 2. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money!
You get the picture? I guess what I'm trying to say is that since it's a free-to-play game, 343 felt as though they needed some level of monetization to remain profitable. And since 343 is not as greedy as EA, who is the equivalent of Mr. Krabs on crack, cocaine, nicotine, and amphetamines, the list here would go on for quite a while, so let's just end it here. Anyways, they're not as greedy as EA, who added countless microtransactions to their games, such as Battlefront 2, which nearly destroyed what was left of their reputation. So 343, not being complete morons, decided they didn't want a PR nightmare, and added cosmetic appearances instead of unfair advantages. This was actually a good move by 343, and gave fans hope for the future. But remember how I mentioned how they are still greedy? Yeah, let's talk about that. At the initial release of Halo Infinite, players were excited to jump into the action. 343 decided to use the very popular Battle Pass as a method to get players to cough up as many wads of cash as possible. And if you did not know this about Battle Passes, the more you work on the game, the more XP you get, then the more stuff you can potentially get. The thing is, no matter how you perform in the game, you would get a max cap of 50 experience per game. I did a little research to see just how long it would take to become level 100 in Season 1, and according to Forbes, a relatively skilled FPS player would take around 300 hours to complete. Yup, I said 300. That's 12.5 days of Halo Infinite just to complete one season. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have the time or the sanity to see one drop in the bucket for thousands of games just to get like 12 free items. Now, in 343's defense, they have made getting XP a less uphill battle, but since then, a big slice of the player base called it quits, and this started what I think to be a big chain reaction. A reaction, if you will. Because so many people left at once, a lot more people left due to those people leaving, and it continued for quite a while. This combined with the fact that you still don't get additional XP for performing well in matches felt like a slap in the face in the community. Along with something that I have not quite mentioned yet. There is very little actual content inside the game. To help put this in perspective, Halo Infinite only has 5 core game modes. That being Slayer, Capture the Flag, Oddball, Strongholds, and Stockpile. And with the Season 2 update, Total Control, King of the Hill, Lands Grab, and lastly, Last Spartan Standing, and of course different variations for the game mode, such as Free For All for example. This honestly is not so bad, well at least until you realize that many of these modes feel too alike. For example, Capture the Flag and Strongholds are very closely linked in theme, among quite a few others. While I do not necessarily dislike these game modes, there are certainly a big array to choose from. Some of my favorites are Infection, Juggernaut, King of the Hill, which they fortunately added in Season 2. And that's not all. There are modes such as Race, Assault, Territories, VIP, among quite a few others. I feel like the problem is that the game modes don't have much personality compared to earlier releases. And this is just the game modes we're talking about here. I feel like one of the biggest problems is the lack of maps. I get live fire and recharge like at least 50% of the time, and it's pretty annoying. Furthermore, I think an easy way to get some more diversity would be a map vote system, but this realistically would only be possible if the matchmaking didn't take forever and was far more seamless. Unfortunately, neither of which are. Also, the fact that the maps are very closed in with many exits and entrances. This is not very reminiscent to the earlier titles in the series. This itself is not such a bad thing, but once again, I really feel it needs more diversity. I don't really know how to explain it. I guess it sort of feels hollow to its true nature. No doubt about it, it still is the Halo you know and love, but I guess it's just a little lifeless. If I had to explain in a sentence why I feel this way, I would say that instead of being the pioneer it once was, it now decided to play it safe and do what everyone else is doing. It lacks any form of innovation that gives a game its life. This ironically is the same thing that made Halo Combat Evolved so popular and beloved. The fact that it was a trailblazer and made its own new industry. It was something new and fresh. While it may not be perfect, it was different from the competition, and that's what made it so special. And if you do this with any game, it begins to become apparent why certain games become successful and others crash and burn. Let's take Fortnite for example. Love it or hate it, you can't deny it brought something new to the table. That was building in a shooter. And also it was one of the very first battle royales. Not to mention, after the release, many new innovations have taken form, such as emotes being popularized so much to the point where licensing lawsuits became a thing of the present, in order to stop developers from stealing your own intellectual dance property. Yup, that's an actual thing. Not even joking. Anyway, we're getting a bit off track here. What you need to know is Halo Infinite is a failure in many people's eyes because of these factors. Instead of being a leader, 343 decided to follow what everyone else was doing, and this led to its downfall. I do believe that Halo Infinite is still a good game, however it is very evident that not much passion or work has actually gone into it. It kind of feels like they just copied and pasted what everyone liked from previous games and expected that to be enough. At the end of the day, it obviously was not. Let's just hope they bring something new to the table next time instead of becoming the next Call of Duty. And that's the video. If you enjoyed, like the video. If you disliked, I will burn down your house. For legal reasons, this is a joke. It's a joke. And it's meant to be a joke. It's a joke. Please don't dislike. It's a joke. I'm sorry. Anyway, if you guys do enjoy these game review videos, show your support by giving me some video ideas in the comments and by subscribing to the channel. And of course, remember to have a good day.